You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast, recognized as one of the top 100 diversity and inclusion podcasts in the United States. I'm your host, Lambert Fitt, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for more positive and encouraging tips and strategies that are offered like this, check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, which offers a unique way to positively address the often divisive topic of multicultural awareness and diversity, equipping helping professionals like you in your efforts to meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. If you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author and speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world, one strengthened relationship at a time. Now, today I'd like to share with you a few thoughts about moving forward after ICE trauma. Now, after several weeks of increased immigration enforcement wreaking havoc in Minnesota, it's been recently announced that Operation Metro Surge, as it was called, has ended, and that thousands of federal agents will be withdrawing from Minnesota. Now, on one hand, some immediately ask why all the ICE agents wouldn't be leaving. And while this is a reasonable question worthy of an answer, it is worth noting that ICE has been present in Minnesota for 2 decades, following the Homeland Security Act of 2002, and that it was only recently that their presence increased significantly, and their disruptive behaviors had an even more devastating impact far and wide. Now, with the news that the increased presence will, at the very least, go back to the usual numbers that preceded the recent surge, many are left with a personal question. What's next? But not what's next with ICE. What's next after ICE? What's next for them individually in the wake of the traumatic experience of ICE? Well, while just the start of a conversation that everyone will need to explore in their own way and in their own time, I'd like to offer a few things to consider to help support your efforts to move forward healthily after ICE trauma. Consideration number one, acknowledge that ICE's presence in Minnesota was legitimately traumatic. An unfortunately common sentiment is that unless you lost your life or you were the family member of someone who lost their life, then you should not feel trauma from the presence of ICE in Minnesota. This is not how trauma works. The experience of trauma isn't an overreaction. Lives were taken. Even those who kept their lives, their livelihood was upended by the fear that their lives would be taken, that they might be separated from their families, their loved ones, and the only lives they knew. Not only that, but the indiscriminate nature of ICE's behaviors led many to believe that they could be next. They might be pulled over at any time and asked to prove the only citizenship they've ever known. Their home could be raided. They could be detained for an unknown amount of time, and their coworkers, classmates, or family members might not even know why they disappeared or where they were held, all while they waited in hopes that they just might even be allowed to return home, knowing that there'd be no apologies or support for their transition, or worse, being gaslit with explanations and justifications that their traumatic experience was justified as a reasonable, unintentional consequence of ICE's supposed legitimate efforts to catch the bad ones. Parents who are U.S. citizens of all ethnicities sent their children to school with passports if they had them, just in case the school bus got stopped or their school was invaded, hoping that their children would return home at the end of the day, believing that school was at least safer than home. And many, fearing all of this, felt their safest option was to just stay in their home, sacrificing their jobs, keeping their kids home from school, even rationing whatever food they had left out of fear of encountering ICE on the way to or from the grocery store. And when circumstances outside of your control have the power to change or take your life at any moment, that's legitimately traumatic. And no matter how near or distant physically, people found themselves from the epicenter of ICE operations in Minnesota, witnessing lives being taken, rights being trampled, government officials trying to vilify others despite video evidence to the contrary, all contribute to experiences of trauma, traumatic upending of the world as many people believed it to be. Which leads to the second consideration being to accept that ICE trauma will impact everyone differently. Consider this. Some directly experienced ICE, some witnessed ICE in person, some were nearby, some witnessed online or on the news, some knew people directly impacted, and many, many more feared whether they would be next. Influenced by these variations in experience combined with the individual's previous life experiences, it's understandable that the impact of ICE's presence and actions may vary as well. Some struggle with ongoing anxiety. After all, when efforts to keep oneself safe prove to be futile, then the hunt can reasonably continue for threats that can similarly penetrate one's protective efforts. Some struggle with maintaining healthy sleep, for the mind can generate a lot of possibilities and of experiences based on what the eyes see, trying to help prepare us to protect ourselves, but not necessarily without consequences. Some struggle with depression, saddened by losses, potential losses, and senses of futility in one's efforts for why work so hard to succeed when there are people in power actively working to take it all away from you, with the power to do so at any moment. And some struggle with addiction, finding unhealthy ways to cope with legitimately difficult feelings of depression, anxiety, and more. And these are just a few things to consider. There's no one way to be impacted by or try to cope with trauma. Don't compare yourself to others and don't judge others by comparing them to you. Instead, learn yourself and help others feel as though their feelings are legitimate. Then help them find the best ways to express those feelings in the healthiest way possible. And all this leads to consideration number three. Accept that everyone heals from trauma differently. When the active threat of repeated traumatic experience begins to subside, people try to move forward in their own way. Some will nest, drawing everyone they love closer, focusing on strengthening the relationships that matter to them most, creating new experiences together, and reinforcing those close family and friend bonds. Some will become more active, getting involved in political organizing, community engagement, and more, with a mindset goal of getting out ahead of the next problem that may arise before it can even come close to hurting those they care about. No matter how you cope, accept that various ways of coping have various ways of contributing to the healing of everyone. Not everyone can do everything, nor should they. You do you and support others doing what they need to do to move forward healthily. With all that being said, my hope for you is that you will be able to begin to move forward from the traumatic experience of ICE in the healthiest way possible for you. No matter where you are, how close you felt you were to this experience, no matter how it impacted you emotionally or what impact it had on your sense of safety in this world. Whether you consider yourself to be traumatized with a T, big capital T, or maybe a lowercase t, or some other word altogether if you don't like the word trauma. I hope that you're able to accept your feelings as legitimate. Remind yourself of what you have and what matters most in your life, and make intentional efforts to move forward living your best life possible, one day at a time. And with all that, I'd like to say thank you again for listening to today's Diversity Dude podcast. If you found it helpful, insightful, then be sure to like and subscribe so I'll know which topics you'd like me to share more on in the future, and share with the friends so they can be encouraged as well. You can also get my free guide for your organization so they can learn how to have shame-free and empowering strategies for cultivating culturally safe work environments for you and everyone on your team, simply by visiting lambertsfisher.com/playbook. Or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at home, at work, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
When she walked in on her first day at Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas, she didn't know a soul.
I'm Zion, and I'm a second year at DFC.
A year later, and so many changes for Zion.
I love my friends here. I couldn't do anything without them. We support each other all the time.
At Doherty Family College, Zion also finds support on the academic side. Like all DFC students, Zion can count on a team committed to her success. Doherty Family College is Minnesota's affordable private college option. DFC students earn their associate's degree and then can transition to a 4-year college or university for their bachelor's. Many are students of color or first in their family to go to college.
It's nice to see people that look like you pursuing an education, wanting to succeed academically.
Zion encourages any high school student looking for a college home to do what she did and apply to Doherty Family College.
All the support you could need is here.
Ready to make your move and experience Doherty Family College for yourself? Then schedule your visit to the Minneapolis campus at dfc.stthomas.edu/visit.
Hi. It's easy to just make an ad that tells you to quit smoking. See?
Action!
Easy as that!
Sure is! Yeah!
But let's be real. Quitting is hard. It's messy, frustrating, but every struggle is actually a victory. At Quit Partner, you get free tools from people who get it. We're not going to tell you it's easy, just that when you're ready, you've got a partner to help you get it done.
Want to own a home, especially your first? Well then, welcome home to the Old National Bank Down Payment Assistance Program. We're here to help you from start to finish and make getting a mortgage a little easier. Plus, you may be eligible for up to $15,000 to use toward your down payment. How's that for a little easier? Everyone deserves a place to call home and a bank to help get them there. Connect with an Old National mortgage lender to learn more. Old National Bank. Get old in your new home.